Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our next episode of Tiger Eye Talk. Our guest today is Nancey Harvey, and we are going to be talking about her business. Go ahead and share the name of your business with us, Nancey.
My business is Money Sense Bookkeeping.
Awesome. And she knows a lot of numbers. I want to further introduce Nancey. She's Nancey Harvey, the owner and bookkeeper extraordinaire. With over 20 years in the financial industry, she has a knack for explaining finances or financials in easily understood terms and enjoyed helping businesses to discover ways to save money and grow their business. She's certified in QuickBooks Pro Advisor and a bookkeeping professional. Before she started her own bookkeeping firm, she did fundraising for 10 years and 20 years of business development with banks and credit unions. Bank reconciliations and Excel spreadsheets are her jam. More power to you. That is not something I enjoy. When you work with her, you are not just a client, you are a partner, collaborator, and teammate. She knows it's not easy to trust someone with your books or your money. But please know that her passion is to help your business succeed. She loves helping businesses to be the best versions of themselves. Most importantly, she is a wife to a wonderful husband, Bill, and a mother to an incredibly talented and beautiful daughter, Claire. So, Nancey, tell us a little bit more in depth about your business and how you came about to start this business.
Okay, great. Well, actually, I started my business back in 2020, right during COVID, because the nonprofit organization that I was working with went from 29 employees to 8.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and I went part-time. And so at that time, I looked at my husband and I said, I don't want to rely on anybody else for my success. I want to have my own success or my own failures. And so I started Money Sense Bookkeeping. I took some professional bookkeeping course, and then I became certified in QuickBooks Online. And actually, right now, I'm in the midst of becoming a certified bookkeeper, which entails taking an exam to become a certified bookkeeper. So I'm working on that as well. But that's when I started my business, because I wanted to be, successful in my own right. And I love being a small business owner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is something people seem to misunderstand about what you do? I mean, yes, we all know a bookkeeper. That's a common word, right?
Right.
We know you work with numbers, but what's something maybe misunderstood?
That is actually a really good question, and one I actually often get from people. And sometimes I notice people ask for an accountant or a CPA when in reality, they probably want a bookkeeper. So I always like to say the difference between a CPA and a bookkeeper. So the bookkeeper is more looking at your income and your expenses on a monthly basis, helping you track all of that. A accountant is more, doing the taxes. So I am not a tax expert. I always refer my clients when they have tax questions to a tax preparer or a CPA so they can answer any tax questions they have. I know, basic, of course, information about taxes and such because of being a bookkeeper. But where I'm at is I'm going to be your profit coach, your financial advisor in many ways on your business. How can we cut costs, for example? Right now, I have a lot of clients who are struggling and they really need guidance on ways that maybe they could cut expenses, for example. So that's really what I do. I try, a lot of times people think bookkeepers are just data entry, and that's not true. I mean, I sit with my clients. Yeah, I sit with my clients each month and I go through their reports with them. So the balance sheet, the income statement, statement of cash flows. And a lot of times people don't even know what those are. So I try to explain them in very simple terms. So that's kind of where my gift is at.
Awesome. That is a great explanation too of how it can be misunderstood. So what is the number one takeaway your clients experience by working with you?
When I first started my business, when I was taking my bookkeeping course, the gentleman who taught the course said, when it comes down to it, bookkeeping is a relationship business. And it truly is. That's where I excel too, because I'm an extrovert, which actually is very unusual for bookkeepers. There's a lot of introverted bookkeepers who really, really struggle with the relationship part of the business because they just kind of want to be behind the scenes. And actually, my favorite part is to meet with my client, learn about their business, and see ways that we can either help grow their revenue or help them, to save money. And so that, is what I really, really love about the job.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. So, what is the best compliment you've ever received from a client?
So I get really great testimonials, and I don't have any of those in front of me. You can check them out on my website. But I had two friends of mine who are now clients. They were actually clients and then friends, but they said, you make us adult. You make us really, look at our small business and try to keep up with our books, because a lot of times when people are first starting out with a small business, it's overwhelming. I mean, there's just so much information out there, right? I mean, marketing and doing your books, and at the same time trying to do what you're most talented in, whatever that is, right? HVAC or
what you love to
plumbing,
do. Yes.
or virtual assistant or whatever it is. So they said, you helped us really to take a look at our finances and really know month to month how we're doing. And that has helped me, they said, help me to make wise decisions about my business rather than just guessing.
That's awesome. So awesome. And that's important too, that you are making those wise decisions when you're the business owner, right? To help move your business forward.
Right. So for example, by tracking your income and expenses each month, you can decide, can I hire a person to help me, like a virtual assistant, for example, or somebody to help do some of the bookkeeping because maybe you're overwhelmed, whatever it is. By tracking those that income and expenses, you're making a wise decision rather than guessing whether you can do it or not. So
very, very important for
yes.
sure. So how can others find you if they may have some questions around bookkeeping, or maybe they're ready to work with a bookkeeper?
Right. So you can always call me. And so my phone number is 864-832-2990. You can also email me, Nancey at moneysense, and it's sense, it's SENSE, bookkeeping.com. And then you can visit my website, moneysensebookkeeping.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So how does your family feel about what you do, and how do they describe what you do?
So I think when I first started my bookkeeping business, my husband was like, oh no, here we go again. Because I have wanted to have my own business for a long time. And I have tried a few things that didn't work, right? So, I think he was really surprised how well, it went. But everybody needs bookkeeping help.
Yes.
You eventually get to that point where you can't DIY your books anymore because you just don't have the time. That's usually when somebody starts to look for a bookkeeper. So one time I was asking my husband, why do you think I like bookkeeping so much? And he said, because you like to solve problems. You're a problem solver. And when you come up with that solution, you get excited about it. And it's true. So Lisa, oftentimes looking at books of a potential new client, and they're messy. They're not categorized correctly. There's never been a bank reconciliation done on those books, anything like that. And so I kind of like to go in there and solve the puzzle. I love puzzles, like board puzzles, crossword puzzles, anything like that. So, thus, my tagline for Money Sense Bookkeeping is solutions to your bookkeeping puzzle or your financial puzzle. because that's really what it is. And I love to solve puzzles. So I think
I'm sure you have
he's
solved
right.
many puzzles since you have been
I
working with
have,
him.
yes. Yeah, I have. And
That
it's
is
nice.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Awesome,
fun
awesome.
too, because oftentimes a client will talk to their CPA or their tax preparer after I had cleaned up their books and they're ready for tax season. And the CPA is like, wow, your books are amazing. Who did your books? Because last year they weren't, so it's nice.
Awesome, awesome. So you said you started this in 2020.
Yes.
Did you have a background in bookkeeping prior to starting your business?
That's a very good question. So I didn't have direct bookkeeping experience. However, as your my bio said, I have about 20 years in the financial services industry as a business development. And part of my job was to go into businesses and analyze their financial statements to see if they qualify for loans. So I have a lot, finance has always been in my background. And then when I was a fundraiser, I had to do a lot of budgets to prepare for, how much is it going to cost to do the fundraising, right? So I was involved in a lot of that. And then the other thing too is my dad is a retired chief financial officer and accountant. So I've kind of always been around that numbers. And I was talking to him the other day. I said, I swore I would never be an accountant. And now I'm a bookkeeper. And I'm pretty sure he finds that amusing.
Probably so. But you're very good at what you do as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've always been around it, and it came pretty naturally to me. So.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts you'd like to share with our audience about bookkeeping?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a couple of tips I usually like to give, especially people who are new small business owners, maybe they're just starting out, would be to make sure that you open a business checking account and that you're not commingling your funds between personal and business. Those really need to be separated, especially if you're an LLC, because it can be if you're mixing personal with business, it can really cause legal issues. If you were to ever be sued, for example, you might not be protecting your personal assets if you're mixing the business and the personal. So I always like to make sure people know that. And that's always my first piece of advice for people. And then just start tracking your income and your expenses. Maybe you don't need to get QuickBooks Online right away. Maybe you're new. Maybe you want to do it on a spreadsheet. You can do that. There are some free software out there. One that comes to mind is Wave. And I know some people who have done Wave for a while, and then they get to the point where they need to graduate up to a bigger software like QuickBooks Online. So, but there are free options out there for people that are just beginning.
Yeah. So for our viewers, if they just have maybe some questions for you, is that okay for them just to contact you and ask you some questions around their bookkeeping?
Absolutely. 100%. Yes. And if people have questions too, like which QuickBooks Online subscription should I get? Because that can even be overwhelming, because I think there's like 5 or 6 different levels. So, anything. Yeah. I'm happy to answer those questions.
Yeah.
Because
and they may too just need you to help them determine what exactly it is they do need for their books, for their particular business, right?
Exactly. So recently I actually met with a chiropractor, and she was just starting out. And I told her, I go, maybe you don't need me yet, but I'm happy to answer any questions. And her and I met for like an hour, and we just kind of discussed some of her challenges and things that she needed to do. And yeah, so I'm happy to do that. I just asked, awesome. I usually like to schedule that out, but I'm happy to meet with people.
Awesome. So there you go. Contact Miss Nancey Harvey if you have questions about your bookkeeping, or if you're ready to hire a bookkeeper. Yes. She can help organize and get your books all straight. I know we just passed tax season, but it'll be here again before we know it. Some
Yes,
of
it
you
will.
may do it once a year. Some of you may do it quarterly. It depends really kind of on your business, right? As to
Correct. Yes.
how you do your
Yep.
taxes. And so you
Mhm.
definitely want to have all those books organized and up to date, all the things that goes with that before
Yep.
you get your taxes done.
It'll make your life so much easier and bring you so much more clarity and peace of mind when you do have a bookkeeper, because they can really keep you on your toes for your business.
That's awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much, Nancey, for being our guest today on Tiger Eye Talk. You gave some great tips for entrepreneurs in the bookkeeping area, if they do have a bookkeeper, or if they don't.
Right.
Yeah. Get your books
Yes.
organized for sure.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I greatly appreciate being on today.
Yes, absolutely. Goodbye, everyone.